Glenn, I think you were a little skeptical that I would make it back, or I would come back maybe wearing a fur coat as some sort of nice blouse with a watch, rolled up sleeves. That wasn't the case. I'm going to tell you, what does everybody say when they come back from Vegas?
I broke even.
Even Steven, right, Harry? Harry knows right. Even Steven. Yeah, that was basically it. Lost at the tables, won in sports. Yeah, but no, it's and the same thing that everybody says, and I talked about it yesterday. Hot tip: Vegas is expensive. It's not going back to the 99-cent steaks of the 80s. If you're looking for the $1.99 buffet, it ain't there anymore. But no, it was a lot of fun. I was maybe going to look for a future bet on the CFL, on the Grey Cup. Couldn't find one. So, but I can do that online nonetheless. That cool bet. Let's start with yesterday, the Riders signing another offensive lineman. Now, Jack and the Beanstalk comes to mind for me. This guy's a giant. Jameer Ross Johnson, 6'5", 300 pounds. Glenn, am I seeing this, and are a lot of the fans, maybe the casual fans, seeing this, where maybe Jeremy O'Day learned a little bit of a lesson last year when he's saying, hey, we're not going to snooker ourselves this year. We are loading up with as many versatile offensive linemen as we can.
I would have to believe there's a lot to do with that he looked at it and said, we can't get caught and play our defensive tackle / end in Micah Johnson on the O-line again because we're, decimated by injury. Now, I really like what he's done with his starting group with Sean McEwen at center. If you look at that, and Gagnon, Hardrick, Tate, and Furland across the board. I mean, that to me can be as good of an O-line as any in the league for sure. That could be an all-star group. But I think you're right, Barney. That part of that is the issue of, last year they got hit with injuries in the same position. They had to move a guy from defense over. And hey, Micah Johnson did a really nice job, like really cool job. But they don't want to get caught again. And listen, this is where they should be. This is where every team needs to prioritize, especially when it comes to the draft. That's why the Canadian draft isn't necessarily that sexy, because and I don't mean this as a slight against O-linemen, but we're not drafting quarterbacks and star receivers in the first 2 rounds. We're drafting O-linemen in the first round because that's where you need to be solid.
And just the size, right? Like, I don't know I would like to know what the data would show, what the computer would tell us, maybe AI. What is the ideal size of a Canadian Football League offensive lineman? Like, somewhere along the way, there is some sort of calculation formula data. But 6'5", 300. Like, we joked yesterday, like, that is hard to throw over. Like, you got to be careful now as a QB when he stands up. When you go back to your days, Glenn, playing, like, what were the O-linemen? What was an average O-lineman?
Well, when you looked at the interior guys, first of all, the interior guys, you're looking at, regular sort of 6'2", 300 to, 70 to 300, somewhere in there. And then the tackles, a little bit bigger, but not a lot of 6'5". I mean, not a lot of. Remember Chris Schultz, the late Chris Schultz, great on our panel and all that, passed away way too early, but he played in both leagues down south, and he was a big guy, 6'7", 350. The advantage with guys like that, like this new signing of the Riders, is that they have the long reach. So once they engage with the D lineman, they can keep them off their body and keep them off from running stunts and things with that long reach, and that gives them a real advantage. Now, what this player, because they come from the States, obviously, when we're signing tackles, this player is going to have to learn and make sure his footwork is a priority all offseason, because that yard off the ball means you have to be able to move your feet quicker. So down there, bigger, across the board, more of a push type of look. Up here, a little more, I won't say a little more athletic, but quicker feet, Size isn't quite as important on the, on the O-line here as it is down there because, there's more run game down there.
Thursday morning, new commissioner is going to have a little bit of a presser, a little bit of a. Are you going to be with him? Are you like elbows up together? That's the new term everyone's using. You guys, are you just going to be watching as a spectator as well? What's where are you going to land on that one?
Yeah, I'll be tuned in for sure. If it was in Vancouver, I would be there. And if it was in Regina or Saskatoon at the end of the month, I would be there. I'm not going to fly to Toronto to watch it live, but I will be watching it online. It's an important one. It's a set the tone. It's his first address to the media, first address to the football fans across the country. First time he'll be actually public. It won't be quotes that are written in an article that people form their own sort of narratives and put the quotes in. So this is his first chance. I hope I hear. I don't think it's too early for him to sort of us expect a full mission statement or here's my goals for the next 10 years. He's got to settle in, but I hope we hear about collaborating in the boardroom, competing in the field. I hope we hear about how he plans to bring everyone together, stealing ideas from everyone. The Lions just today announced that they are now opening the upper bowl of BC Place for that first game because of the concert series excitement, that their demand for tickets. And last year they sold out. They sold out the stadium, biggest crowd in BC Lion history, apparently. Sold it out. And this year, they're already now opening it up, and they haven't announced the band yet. So this is the momentum that an idea like that brings you, that we're still a month away from the season starting, and they're opening up the bowl and probably will sell this out, and we don't know the band.
I hope it's a total letdown. It's like Doug and the Slugs or something. Harry, you wanted to go, sorry.
Glenn, like you said, it's a huge spectacle. It's a big deal. It's his first press conference. If he says nothing else, what is the most important thing that he has to address tomorrow? He says nothing else. One thing.
Well, I hope he talks about growing the game in our country. I hope he talks about bringing and stealing ideas from every owner. Yes, the markets are different, but you can assimilate someone's idea into your market if it feels like it's going to work. Again, collaborating with all the owners. I know he's going to get the expansion question. He's going to get. It's kind of like the hamster wheel, right? Like you get these, but and rules committee and Europe and things like that. And he can get to all of those things. But I hope this is a big picture. Let's grow the game and the businesses will take care of themselves. And we have flag football coming up in the Olympics soon. We want to continue to grow that game in our country. And as leaders, as the professional football league in our country, we are the leaders that can lean into that and bring that along and bring everyone together in our country in that. So I hope we hear a little bit of that big picture stuff from him. I'm not expecting a whole lot of details. I mean, he probably is still working on his staff right now. Like, who's going to be in charge of football ops? Right now it's Greg Dick, but is it going to be Greg going forward, or is he making a change there? I don't know. So we'll see if he has any of those personnel announcements as well.
Harry, what would you want to ask?
Well, I mean, he's obviously not going to be having a full game plan, but I think one of the biggest things is I think the league needs to get back to establishing its own identity. Like, stop trying to compete with the NFL, and like, what are you going to do to establish the CFL as its own legitimate league rather than a lesser than NFL? Like, embrace the differences like they did back in the 90s, like the radically Canadian aspect, right? Like, I feel like that marketing idea worked, and I feel like that league kind of needs to embrace that we are our own thing, and that would be my question.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I couldn't agree more with that messaging that we have an edge of your seat. Thank you, Curtis. We have an edge of your seat, exciting game. We have the best final 3 minutes of any sport in the world, and
except for the Rouge.
We've had 60. We've had there'll be some questions, but we've had 60. We've had 65% of our games decided in the final 3 minutes. I mean, you can't write Hollywood scripts that are that successful at 65% when you're making it up. So, all of those things are aspects of our game that we can sell. And I would hope, and I think they're going to be on top of this, but I would hope that they lean into the Canadiana part of it, because we are all of a sudden very patriotic as a country. And I'm loving watching it, like buying Canadian, taking care of small businesses that are Canadian every chance we get. I mean, it doesn't mean that they're all bad down there or anything like that. And our league, we can message the Canadian part along with working under the same umbrella with half of our rosters being American. So let's be leaders in uniting the countries again when our leaders politically are dividing us. We can, as a sport, unite us. So I hope there's a little bit of all of that in his first press conference on Thursday, and we'll be all over it because it'll be wrapped up by the time we go on the air.
Yeah, I mean, pro-Canadian doesn't mean anti-American.
No, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I have family members that I call family down in Nashville that when my son was down there, we have great friends in New York when my daughter was in school there. Barney, you just came back from Vegas. We got to get back to uniting eventually for sure. But there's no reason why we can't keep this roller coaster of patriotism going. Cheering for the Canadian hockey teams in the playoffs, buying Canadian, taking care of Canadian small businesses. Love it. I'm sounding a little bit like a political guy now, but hey, I waved the Canadian flag. I've been doing it with the league as my backdrop for my entire life. So. You're talking to converted.
I hope he comes out and he just says, you know what, the league, it'll all balance itself. Because people bought that 10 years ago. So there you go, Stu. Just say that. People will buy it. No,
maybe guys, our balls are bigger, is too far. Maybe we fall just short.
Yeah, that's kind of Fonzie. That's a little Fonzie that I would say, right? But there's something there. We're on to something. All right, we can wrap it all up on Thursday once we see that. Okay, Suits. Are you watching any hockey now that your Canucks are like? Did your vehicle get burnt or any riding around you or?
No, I'm allowing them to just go quietly in the night, and I am cheering for the Winnipeg Jets big time. So I'm watching a little of the Jets, and cheering that the Leafs do not go to the next round. I know there's 1-0. It's 1-0 in games now, so I don't like my chances. We'll see, but I don't want to leave.
Can you give us a quick NHL Stanley Cup prediction? I know you don't like predictions, but can you give us one there?
Jets to the final.
I like it.
Jets to the final.
Yeah. What a party.
I don't know if they'll win it, but Jets to the final.
What a party that would be. They think that they partied when the Blue Bombers won?
Yeah.
Man, that would be, we'll be able to hear it at least to Mooseman anyway. All right, Glenn. Talk to you Thursday.
Thanks, guys.